Hello, my name is Tim, Tabletop Optimist, and today I would like to welcome you to Level 1 to Now. Level 1 to Now is a series where I talk to interesting people in the TTRPG community, hoping to learn more about them and how we can all make a positive impact on the community. Every interview, I will find out how they started out to where they are now. So let's find out some awesome things about some awesome people together. Before I introduce our very first guest, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it is the best way to support my channel. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by GM Justin. GM Justin is a two-time Crit Award nominated player and GM. He is a narrative designer and tech at Roll D5. GM Justin has amassed thousands of followers across TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads, where you can see him making content for not only TTRPGs, but also Magic the Gathering. So let's figure out how they went from level 1 to now. So wanted to start off with thank you for joining me for level 1 to now. How's your day going so far?
Well, thank you for having me. And it's been, like I said, it's a busy day, but it's
Yeah,
also been a busy week. So I'm happy to be able to sit down with you today.
thank you. Thanks for joining. But yeah, so pretty much the first question I want to ask is a question that I'm kind of ask everybody. Just how did you get into the TTRPG space, and what do you wish that you could tell your level 1 self comparatively to where you're at now?
Oh, that's a good question. So I got into the TTRPG space back in late 2021, early 2022. I was posting on the socials. I was more of a short form content creator, mostly on TikTok.
Mhm.
And I was also posting stuff on Twitter, and that started becoming more of my outlet for just saying things, and because it's easier to type something within 250 characters on Twitter than it was to, at least for me, um, find the space, the time to make a video, make it as interesting as I could, and edit it and then send it on out. And I'm also not staring at analytics at that either, because I just send the tweet and it's gone into the space. But luckily for me, Amber from Amber the Space Jammer, shout out to them, hit me up one day and asked if I wanted to be part of a one shot. And I was like, I'm down for it. Let's go. And well, that's been history ever since. I haven't stopped playing in really any, like, I've been a part of an AP ever since then. I don't remember a time where I wasn't a part of something.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of I haven't done any actual plays or playing in person. Need a little bit more experience doing that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's kind of especially with your content creation on TikTok, it kind of just bleeds through kind of the excitement that you have for it, and that's always really
Yeah.
nice to see. It's
Ab-
that's kind of why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to bring in positive, optimistic people who are a benefit to the space, and just the excitement that they have for it is just so fun to see.
Absolutely. And the amount of people that are out there as performers, as GMs, channels, producers, as small of a niche community that we are also still incredibly large. There are
Hmm.
people and groups that I've never even heard of, but thankfully for the Crit Awards, or even somehow like our spaces meet up with each other, I meet so many new people, and it's phenomenal to see. And I'm very blessed to be able to interact with as many people as I can. Also catch new stories being told, new games being put out there. I am very incredibly thankful for the opportunity to be a performer and being a part of this space. I'll also say, to circle back to the original question. Um, if I were to go back to my level one self, I would probably tell him to really put into effect the keep your weekends to yourself, because
Hmm.
time off is essential. It took me learning the hard way, but once I learned it, it's a lifesaver, especially like in like with how things are going right now. I Much as I love playing games, I also need that time to be able to decompress and not have to always be on, like going from work to doing an actual play or recording for something else.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure our spouses appreciate that too.
Oh, for 100%.
That's It's one of those things where it's like kind of when you look back at kind of where you started, it's like you try to overload yourself with so much to be able to get yourself out there because you got that kind of like that you got like that kind of bug that you want to go out there and
Yeah.
perform with people. But then you realize
Yeah.
that it's still fun and you're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, but it's starting to weigh on you. And
Yeah.
that actually kind of leads perfectly into my next question is you have the name Forever GM. If anybody's watching this that doesn't know that term, I'd be kind of surprised. But Forever GM is someone who is kind of consistently running games, finds it difficult to be a player at a table. But with the Forever GM name, I've ran one long form campaign, a few short
Mhm.
forms, and a few one shots here and there. And on my last campaign, it sadly had to end early, but I was finding myself unmotivated. For someone who has been running so many games and been a GM for as long as you have, what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
Um, a couple things. One is learning. It starts with with your group, right?
Mhm,
For me, I'm very blessed that I've had a group that has been running together for the last almost 6 years, and we've gone through one, two. We're currently on our fourth campaign, and we've been playing just about every week, if possible. Obviously, life does come up, but
mhm,
going back to the whole bit of it starts with the group, right? Um, my group is very fun to play with and is very fun to bounce ideas off and keep the juices flowing as far as like what we're looking to do, how we're looking to make a better story, tell a more interesting story. And I'm very blessed and fortunate for that because they're hitting me up with ideas. I'm sending them ideas or I'm surprising them with ideas. But when we need a break or when I need a break, they're very understanding of it,
mhm,
and they are very quick to be like, "Hey, I can take over for a couple weeks if you need a break." Or like we do for our anniversary, we've made a tradition that somebody else will take the GM seat for that anniversary session.
mhm,
And it can be whatever we want. It can be a new system. It could be a different telling within that same universe. We're using the same system, but it's not me playing. It's not me running it. It's me
mhm.
playing. So that's the first thing as far as like from my standpoint, that keeps things fresh, keeps things um very keep things as fun as they are. But also with the name Forever GM, with that part of Forever GM, being in the AP space, I'm actually very fortunate, and I don't run as many games as I play. Surprisingly,
Mhm.
it's the moniker is now more ironic than anything else. I am the Forever GM. I am the Forever GM, but at the same time, I am playing on more tables than I have GM'd them.
Yeah, I was kind of when I was like kind of looking through with like the different actual plays. Seems like he had a pretty long running campaign going on with a character named Dante.
Yeah, that is still currently going on. In fact, we played last night. I love that little himbo boy, but that he's like that for a reason.
Hmm. It's always I have one other DMGM at the table, so whenever
Mhm.
like we would kind of swap off one long campaign for one, then one long campaign for the other.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that kind of backup. And the one thing that I wish I could get through to one of my other players because he knows the rules way better than I do for pretty much the two that I've ran so far, like D&D and Daggerheart. But as you can tell behind me, I have like a long list of games I really want to play.
Mhm.
But, but he just has this kind of like low confidence about the idea of being a GM, and I'm just like, dude, most of my knowledge of running a full campaign is just going off of vibes and the few rules I picked up while watching actual plays. But it's just like he's just like, no, I just don't want to do it, and then that's fine because we have another DM there. But it's just kind of cool to kind of wish more people were confident enough to do the DMing
Mhm.
because I think it's a lot of things that people are going to miss out on. It's like one of those things you kind of wish you got into earlier.
Yeah. I also think too that people depends on like their out the what is
Mhm.
it the content that they take in, right? If you are like exposed to like Brendan Lee Mulligan, Jason Carl, Matt Mercer, those GMs, I can see where like the lack of confidence may be, but
Hmm.
what I always kind of keep in the back of my head is that what B Dave said is that they are them, but the only person that I can really be is me. And on top of that, most people are not AP performers. Like
Hmm.
the only people you're performing for are your friends. And if you're comfortable with them being able to do role play with your character, then I promise that that they are going to be just as entertained with whatever system that you go through. You don't really even need to do that much. In my opinion, you don't really need to do that much. But I also I've switched from being a very detailed GM to
Hmm.
a more, like you said, I'm running off of vibes and whatever random stuff people throw at me now. So it's never a bad idea to be over prepared. At least you have the stuff in case
Hmm.
you want to go there, or if you're comfortable and you just decide I'm saying this, and then we're going down that rabbit hole until they can't find anything else, and well, insert this in there, see where that goes.
Yeah, and even kind of long-running, accomplished GMs like Matt Mercer have said that they are fortunate to have the table that they have, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, he's a great GM, but he's even admitted himself that he may not the just the way that the table operates is very
Yeah.
important. And when you find some great like-minded individuals who all play together, you become more than just a few people sitting around a table. You become a cohesive team putting together
Yes.
a story that you all love.
Absolutely. Whether you realize it or not, once the connection is made and you guys are sitting at that table, at least in my experience, whatever is going on the outside just kind of fades to black as you're just kind
Mhm.
of in that moment and you are in that character, you're in that GM seat and you're telling this story, whatever it is that you go through, for that little bit of time, those couple hours that you're playing, there's there's you have that escape from reality and you are just having a blast.
And it's fun playing these games because sometimes just a small handful of people, 3 to 4 people could just make a big difference, and I feel like a lot of people have kinda lost that hope in the real world where we need more people to we need more people to be heroes, and playing something like D&D or any type of TTRPG can give you that hero that can help you remember that even a few people can make a big change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me. No, I've seen that you played quite a bit of different TTRPGs. I mostly have experience with D&D and Daggerheart, but I want to get into as many as I can and run as many as I can, despite the fact that I'm not great at reading books. I get distracted quite a bit. So, and
that
but yeah,
that's That's honestly fair, and I totally get that.
yeah.
I'm very blessed that I am on the Roll D5 team because they pushed me
Hmm.
to pick up all these different indie games, and I only have a finite amount of time throughout the day, just like you do. So it's like I love those indie games where like they're a one pager. They're like within like I can find all the rules and everything I need to do within like 3 pages, and I'm good to go from there.
Hmm. What kind of and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but has there been a what TTRPG have you played that you think kind of meshes with your GM style?
Mm, There's not well, actually, no, that's a lie. The one system that I kind of go back to that's a more of an indie game
Hmm.
would be The Worst Days, which is a coming of age horror TTRPG that was created by a gentleman by the name of JLG Wise, if I remember that correctly. He made the TTRPG, and I was able to play it when it was point 91, and then I picked it up when it got updated to 9.92. But that's one that kind of meshes with with my with my storytelling ability,
Hmm.
because I really don't. And I say that very loosely, just because, like I mentioned, I don't really need that. I just need the concept of how to initiate the conflict, and then let the players dictate where the story goes. And I just find a very opportune time to bring in the big bad evil guy, or whatever creature that they're facing, because well, that's the fun part about that system in particular, is that you're supposed to get the idea that, oh, we're just living our normal day-to-day life, we're just having kind of a blast, and then holy shit, some apocalyptic event happens. And now we're trying to figure things out and kind of going from there.
Yeah, you mentioned that it was kind of like more of a horror game. I haven't really played like a ton of horror games. I mean, it's you could kind of work a horror game out of any setting as long as you just kind of get the vibe right and you kind of get the story told. But what kind of got you more into that to the horror area?
um I've Off and on, I've been a horror fan. There's some horror I can't do.
Hmm.
And even growing up, I got exposed to Chucky from a very early age, and that has ruined any sort of doll horror that's out there. I'm like, nope, get it out of here. I want nothing to do with it. But one of the things I did growing up to kind of help me overcome my fear of scary movies was watching them during the daytime. Now,
Hmm.
granted, I'd still be a little bothered by them in the evening time, but I got over them. And then, as I grew up more, I started understanding and learning more of the symbolism behind what the story was trying to tell, versus just being in that moment and experiencing the horror. Well, here's what the horror represents. And
Hmm.
then I got into storytelling, I got into being a GM, and I wanted to touch on those kind of aspects of, like, of storytelling, which is um, for me, is going into the human psyche when they're faced with something that they are not able to either comprehend or even face off against.
Hmm.
Everybody loves being the hero, but what happens when you're just Joe Schmo and you're trying to solve a mystery, but the mystery is bigger than what you could have ever anticipated? What does that look like in your mind? How do you, as a person, deal with that? Whether it's cosmic horror, whether it's some sort of religious figure that you've now come into contact with, my thing is, I want to know how you react to that and what you do to get out of it, or do you try and face it? It's interesting to me seeing the different reactions that people have, and, like, uh, just yeah, no, it'll always go back to what is the human reaction to it? You're
Hmm.
always gonna you I remember growing up, just like you're always gonna act like a badass until you're faced with it, and then it's what is your actual response when you come face to face with it?
That's one of the things I'm most worried about with going to haunted house because I've never been to one. I didn't grow up
Hmm.
enjoying horror. There's still some horror I won't touch, but there's some that I've seen that have just completely been amazing. But I'm worried about going into a haunted house because I've never been in that situation where I have been like jump scared, except for from a TV show.
Yeah,
So I'm worried I am either that I'm going to be fine walking through, I'll get my scares, I'll walk out, I'll be happy I did it, or they'll have to turn on all the lights and I'll just be in the corner as a like a 6 foot tall, 250-pound guy. I will be in the corner, just like, okay, this is just too much. But it's like I've watched The Haunting of Hill House. It's like I've
hmm,
watched quite a
that's a
few
good one.
horror ones, but I watched that and I was so impressed with it because the only jump scare there was I missed because I was like picking something up off the ground, and
Yeah,
my partner screamed and I was like, oh crap, what did I miss? Because I think one of the things that was really interesting was when they were doing the funeral scene, everyone was looking forward at the casket, but you could see the ghost behind them, and they made no attention to it aside from you as the viewer. And I was thinking that was a very cool concept because they could just do kind of like that cheap jump scare where everyone just turns around and freaks out. But I thought it
yeah,
was a really kind of a beautiful way of just like encapsulating those characters and showing the ghost without them actually seeing the ghost.
for sure. By chance, and I don't remember if it was. Hill House or if it was Blythe Manor. But did you catch any of the ghosts and the ghosts that were hidden throughout the series? Because you mentioned one, I know that one of the two series they there was a ghost that you can there was at least like what one or two ghosts that were hidden throughout the episode that you could if you went back to look you could probably catch.
I think there was one in Blythe Manor that I paused because I was like watching it, and I feel like it was just such a quick little nod, like little showcase. It wasn't like a long one, but I could be mistaken. I need to rewatch them because they're
Oh
so
yeah,
good. But yeah, no, I love that. It's such a cool way of just showing the ghost without making you afraid of the ghost.
absolutely.
But what is a moment in TTRPGs or Magic or both that really made you understand your love for it, and you're like, I get why people love this now?
I don't. No, actually, I do. This was when I very first picked up TTRPGs. I was playing D&D, and I was trying to figure out like how to do the role playing bit of
Mhm,
like what is this character, what is it like, and I am very thankful that one of my friends who is still in my group to this day, me and him decided to write our backstories, but then write a part that showed the introduction of our characters. And once we had that solidified, once we agreed, like, hey, this was the event, and we wrote it together, that it clicked in my head. This is how my character actually acts. This is why he does the things that he does, is because of this one specific event right here. Um, was something that me and the player were able to come up me and the other player were able to come up with that explained like part of why he does what he does. So that's what it was for me. And then I think it was for Magic. It was I want to say it was one of my first wins when I started playing. It
mhm.
was a combo win, and that's when it was just like, I get it. This makes sense now, almost, kind of, sort of. But if I do the thing, then this should happen. And as long as nobody counterspells, I win. I could do this.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, I've kind of built my own decks and also played with a couple of my friends' decks, and I've won games, but it was just like Thursday night of a con. Nothing has
Hmm.
started yet. You're just hanging out in the room. You're having a couple drinks just to relax after just driving for God knows how long, depending on the con, of course. But
Oh yeah.
he brought his Magic deck, and I played a couple of his. I used a couple of mine, and it was just
Mm.
I don't play that often, but it's just one of those games that I'm just highly respectful to everyone who knows what they're doing. Because it's kind of like with
Yeah.
like Pokemon. It's like there's so many minor details that you need to know about this game that the people who have like truly like mastered it or really diving into it and understanding it, it's impressive. There's so many cards you have to memorize what the cards do. You have to pair them with other cards. And that was one thing that I always kind of found a little intimidating.
Oh, there's no memorizing over here. Like if we're like most of the time I'm playing online with friends, right? So I'm using
Hmm.
Spell Table, and we will stop the game because either I'm playing something and it's like, wait, does that actually make sense here? We'll all Google it real quick just to make sure. It's like, no, that actually does. All right. Or no, it actually is meant to do it this way. So
Hmm.
this actually wouldn't work. I'm like, bet, got it, cool. Then we just pull it back and we kind of go from there. But yeah, I barely do any sort of memorizing. It's only when it's a combo that I really want to see if it
Hmm.
works. I'll take the time to like read through it, Google the keywords, like what does sacrifice actually mean? What I think it means? Like I know I've done this like countless hours of I've done this countless times, but does it mean in this case what I need it to mean?
Hmm.
And then I'll go take a look, I'll memorize everything, and then I'll do it, and then we'll see if it actually plays through. If not, then I learned that I my reading comprehension is not as good as I think it is. But I also have a Texas education, so I blame that.
Yeah, Florida, Nebraska for me. So Nebraska's not terrible, but it could be better.
I feel
uh,
that.
D&D. is not like a super crunchy game, but it can be very crunchy compared to a lot of other games. So I know a lot of people are intimidated about going to another game because they either want it to be more crunchy, or they want it to be less crunchy, or they just want a different experience. What games would you recommend that are kind of like less crunchy or more crunchy?
So if you are a person who likes crunchy games, you would probably if you like crunchy games, more crunchier than D&D, your best bet is going with like Pathfinder, or I would even say Call of Cthulhu, because just the I've
Mm.
only ever done the character building one time by the book. Ever since I found the website that actually generates things and I do less thinking, I go straight to that, and I tell people all the time too, and when I,
Oh,
especially when I include new players, like, "Hey, look, you can do it if you want to. Never going to say no. Never, never going to, prevent or discourage anybody from doing that. However, there's an easier way to do it. If you want to, here's the website. It's free. It's easy. Log in, and then it'll spit the numbers out. If you need more specifics, I got you from here. But those are games that I would recommend for people that are crunchy, and even then, those are really only as like I don't have experience with Pathfinder. I only know just based off of like some of the research that I've done with
mhm.
how the game is supposed to be played. And even with Call of Cthulhu, while it does have a lot of the numbers, you can get super crunchy with it. You don't necessarily have to. Um, but if you are on the less crunchy side, if you want to just tell a good story with little bits of like rolling dice here and there, um, you can find one pagers on itch.io, and be able to pull from there. Um, check out some of your favorite content creators out there in the TTRPG space, because more than likely they've probably made a game or
Mhm.
two. Especially like if you are fans of Misty Mountain Legends with Pinto Bean, Luke has made a one page TTRPG called Mush, and it's where you're playing as little mushroom characters, and you only have two stats. What's a plus? I think if I'm not mistaken, it's a plus one and it's a plus two and a minus two, and you're rolling a six-sided die, and it's two stats. You legitimately can pick it up today, and if you have like a good story for it, we could play the game right now, and it would be no issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then Rara from Rara Story Times, or The Heart is a Dungeon, also makes games too that are more focused on the storytelling bit. But
Mhm.
it depends on the flavor of you. What are you in the mood for? I hear Lancer's also super crunchy. I'm not a fan of mech kind of futuristic game. I like either present or medieval
Mhm.
feudal, hero type stories. That are focused games.
I'm kind of the same as you. I didn't grow up watching Code Geass, so I don't have like the
Mhm.
appreciation for like the mechs that other people do. It was just one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like one of my coworkers really big into Gundam. Um, so I know that he would probably kind of get into that. But it's like with
Yeah.
it's one thing that's great about TTRPGs is that you could not be into something, but you you're like, hey, I have a friend who wants to play this game, and do you want to play? And then you play, and you're like, oh wow. And it's
Yeah.
like that's one of the great thing about YouTube is there is pretty much a how to for almost every game out there. If you manage to find
Yeah.
one that doesn't have a how to, I would like to see that. I'd like that challenge to be out there for
Oh,
like if you find this game and you're like there's not a how to for it, that would be really impressive. And if you understand it, you should make it because probably other people would want to see that video.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what is it? There's been a couple games that I picked up. I think, what is it? Waffle House Has Fallen. I've seen that being played a couple times. I've decided, what is it? A couple of my friends from my private home group, they had to cancel at the last minute because of personal reasons. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
cool, no worries. Hey, do we want to still play tonight? A lot of people said yeah, so I'm like, okay, cool. Normal time, and I was like, we have, and I brought out like a one pager. It was a corporate focused TTRPG that seemed to have like really encourage the incompetencies that you would find within like a corporate job. But I took that and made and what is it? Took the movie The Belko Experiment and I
Oh,
mushed those two together, and it was a hilarious bit of shenaniganry from everybody because anytime someone went with their stat and showed the level of the type of incompetencies that their character was having, they were rewarded for it, and it was a fun time until finally we finished the game, and they were like, "What?" They met up with the CEO, who was at the top of the tower, and he was like, "Well, you took care of my board of directors. You survived this long. Hell, you even made it up here. Can I offer you a job?" They all took it.
that is funny. That is just like kind of like that last minute scheduling where it's like, hey,
Yep.
we had this one thing planned, but now we have to do another. Where it could surprise you of like what you can put together with just
Oh
like a
yeah.
little bit of time. That's really funny. Now, I want to ask a couple questions about Magic the Gathering. Just kind of like they're more like personal questions for yourself, because I
Yeah.
know that you're not just into TTRPGs. You've uploaded a lot of videos. Almost seems like one for one. You have a one TTRPG video, then you have your Magic the Gathering videos. These are going to be very basic questions because, like I said, not an expert in Magic at all. But what set or sets of Magic the Gathering has been your favorite and why? Like anyone.
So it's going to be the Doctor Who set. That was the one that really sold it for me, and it's complicated, right? Especially with the Doctor Who, the 10th Doctor, David Tennant's Doctor, being
Hmm.
like the commander with Rose Tyler, Billy Piper, and surprisingly, for the longest time, I didn't know how to actually run the deck until like randomly I put on, and I've seen it before. I know I have, but I put on what is it? The the Command Zone podcast, and they were playing with those decks, and then it clicked in my head. It clicked in my head where I was like, oh, they're both commanders. They're both in the command zone. I don't have to. That makes more sense. I don't know why I thought that I had to draw her from my deck. I'm silly. Cool. Got it. And I've just been annihilating people ever since because I just bring Rose Tyler out as quickly as I can, and then I start, building her up in it. I'm going down that rabbit hole. But bottom line is I learned how to play it. I love that deck because of the fandom the love that I have for the Doctor Who fandom. And being able to see those characters come out and play against my friends is a fun time. And it's even more fun when the things click in your head and like, oh, that's how it's supposed to actually be.
This one might be a little bit more complicated. Uh, but do you have a color or a combination of colors that kind of for your deck that you prefer to run?
I like red. Okay, so I like red, green, and white. Uh, Mostly because that is like, don't get me wrong. I like playing the different other colors,
Mhm.
especially blue. But that's more of just like a meme kind of a deal where I could just be more of the blue player and I can actually just throw in like counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. But I actually like playing green, white, and red because of what I'm able to do with a deck that I have. It has Atla Palani as my commander, and I've thrown every sort of big stompy dinosaur into that deck that I can. So I have a couple of infinite combos in there. I also have kind of complicated combos just to see if I can do the bit. But I love being able to do that because not only do I get the aggressiveness of red, but I get the protection of white, and then on top of that, I get to ramp like you wouldn't believe with green. So add those three together, I'm going to have a good time. If I can bring out my Dino deck, I will do so, and I will tell you, hey, I'm going to start cracking eggs whether you want me to or not. If you help me, you're going to be the last to face my dinosaurs, but if you don't help me, well, it's just a roll of the dice from there. Dinosaurs are coming regardless. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen for you, man.
Yeah, I've always kind of liked the aspect of a blue red deck, aside from them being my favorite
Hmm.
colors. But I do like the control, and then like the control aspect of the blue, and then like the ultimate
Yep.
destruction of the red. if my partner were to be able to get into it, I would probably recommend like a white and green because she loves to heal. She's like the
Hmm.
healer type, and she loves animals. So when the D&D cards came out, I was like, hey, there's a druid. You want to try this one? But
Yeah.
no,
I will have to say this. For you Strax players out there, I don't know how you do it. I can't understand your play style. I play when Braids came out from the ban list. I made a deck with her as the commander. I regret that decision because it was just, why am I doing this to myself? I just slowed everything down to the point where I'm like, everybody's sacrificing everything that they can. It's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't. You Strax players are sick. They're sick, man. I'm telling you.
yeah, no, I think that's one thing that also kind of stuck out to me with Magic the Gathering is how much personality is actually in the game. It's like
Yeah.
it all changes based on the kind of player that you are, and it's one of those things that I think is just like kind of like really cool. It's like where if I want to be a control player, I'll play blue. If I want like stronger monsters to kind of throw out there, I'll go green. If I kind of like what you
Yep.
said for protection, the white deck, and then the black is kind of bringing them back from. I think it's called the graveyard. I don't know if that's
Yep.
my Yu-Gi-Oh knowledge
No,
coming
you
in,
you're
but
right.
and then red just being like, I'm going to destroy everything you put down. But
Yep.
if you're playing blue, you can't put stuff down.
It is fun, like especially narrowing down to like a dual color where it's green and red, and like the memes that come with it. It's just
Mhm.
like very simple minded. I ramp, I bring out big stompy thing, and I hit. It's very simple, very straightforward. And there are some days where that's all I want to do is I want to get all the big stompy characters out there as quickly as I can, and then do as much damage as possible because it is fun.
Are you more of the kind of like the casual play with your friends type player, or have you joined some like Friday Night Magic groups or played in any tournaments?
I'm more of a casual player than anything else. Don't get me wrong. I love optimization. I do enjoy being able to develop a deck online and initially, well, actually coming up with the concept with the decks with the cards that I have on hand right now, and then seeing how I can optimize it, seeing what all I can do to make it better, how run smoother, run faster, what combos do I have available here versus what I can order online for a pretty good price. I try and be a budget player, but that does not always happen. Sometimes just like, you know what? Maybe I will spend 20, $30 on a card where exactly it was just fine. It's like, I don't need, snackies. It's good. I'll buy this card right here. And then the card comes in just like my wife Jess will be like, "You get a new card?" And I'm like, "Yes." Don't ask, and I'm thinking in my head, "Don't ask me how much it costs. Don't ask me how much it costs. Don't ask me how much it costs."
That's kind of like
And then,
first week of the paycheck, brand new card. Second week of the paycheck, ramen or ice soup.
yes.
But yeah, so kind of back onto TTRPGs. This may be kind of like a larger, like a question that you may not have the answer for yet, but it's just one of those things I was really kind of curious about. What is a major goal of yours in the space that you have yet to accomplish?
Oh, that one.
Mm.
I think for me, it's I don't know. All right. No, actually, let me phrase that because I've done a lot within the space. I've been a part of channels. I'm a part of a team right now, an amazing team that is very much as supportive of a group that you can possibly get. I've been nominated for awards. I've done a lot within the space. I think for me at this point, would be I would would be in a studio paid mini series. Doesn't have to be a full long campaign. It can give me like a 3 episode miniseries in the studio and actually being paid for it, that would be like a goal for me to do. Either I'm doing it or someone has hired me to do the bit for them.
Mhm.
Either way, that I think is like the last little bit. Fame is something that would be cool to have. I don't think it will ever happen for me outside of like what, the little the little bit of recognizability that I have within the space. Um, Being on the level of like Mercer and them, that would be cool. But I think it's mostly because they're all in it. It's probably because they're all in LA, and I'm all the way over here in West Texas, and it's like, it's probably not going to happen. But it would be cool to be able to do something like that one day.
This one's going to be kind of a little bit of a heavier question, kind of like what I mentioned to you before. The reason why I've been wanting to do this was I wanted to get people's insights into the TTRPG space that
Mhm.
are approaching it differently than that have had a different experience than I have. So for so kind of what do you think the TTRPG community can do to make the community more accessible to people who are LGBTQIA or people of color? I know it's one of those things. It's like, how do you solve world peace? But it's
Yeah.
what do you think is like some type of things that you would like to see the community do to make more people like kind of increase the diversity of the TTRPG space? Because one, it's just the right thing to do. You want more people
Mhm.
in your community, and also it betters the community. It's like
Absolutely.
when you have people of varying backgrounds in your at your table, you're going to have a better table because you're going to have so much more human experience in that table. So
Yeah.
what do you think that the TTRPG community can do to make it more approachable, more accessible?
I th- so there's a lot of there's a so there are things that have been some so from when I first came in 2021 till now, I've seen that the drive from the community to want to diversify themselves and to
Hmm.
want to bring in more voices, because like you had mentioned, more voices from different backgrounds tell better stories. So the community has done a lot since I first came in now. And part of that is because people are being vocal to
Hmm.
say, "Hey, um, we get it. You guys started off as like an all white, all dude podcast. Consider consider broadening your scope. Consider reaching out to people
Hmm.
and being earnest and honest about it, even if it's just to be like, hey, would you like to be asking a couple folks, hey, look, this is who we are, but we're looking to diversify things. We want to put it together a table. Would you be interested in something like that? And then engaging in a conversation with them and knowing them more than just like the 5 seconds it did to like look up a BIPOC creator online that may have a small following and be like, hey, do you want to do this? Actually engaging in a conversation with the person, getting to know who they are, and knowing where they're coming from goes a lot in building trust, right? Because
Hmm.
if I want to, especially now as a create as a especially now being in the space as long as I have, there is a level of trust that I give to folks, especially when it comes to being on a at a table or being sitting down in an interview, to have done a little bit of research and to see like what the intention is. If it's
Hmm.
just to be like, hey, I want to do more voices. I'm just like this is a perfect example. Like you're starting this and you're wanting to get more voices heard out there. I'm here that I will support that as long as the actions are met at post me. Like what is it? Reaching out to other BIPOC creators out there, and seeing if they're willing to have that kind of a conversation and seeing what their input is. I
Hmm.
think also seeing with different groups for new BIPOC and LGBTQ creators out there that are wanting to jump in the space. If there's a channel out there, see if they have a DEI policy. Um, with us over at Roll D5, we do have ours. We have our published in our on our Discord for those to see. We make sure that we are following that, and on top of that, majority of the folks that are in the Roll D5 group are BIPOC. I want to say it's I want to say about 90% of us are BIPOC, and at least majority of us are LGBTQ. So we as a group, as a channel, hold to the very standards that we've published out there for people to check out, and that's the easiest way to do it. To like when you're doing research on a channel, and then but other than that, like checking out the content,
Hmm.
how diverse are their castings? How you know is it just one BIPOC person and then they're calling it good from there? Like,
Hmm.
what is it from there? It's just going to come down to like making sure that what you're saying is matching what you're doing, and that can easily be seen. And if it's not, if you're just starting out and you're wanting to do it, then put it out there as like, hey, I'm trying to do this, and I'm reaching out to see what we can get started, and hopefully we can get something. And if not, that's cool. No worries, no big deal. And then maybe it's something we do later on in the future. I think one of the things that kind of that is a bit of a what's the word? Um, One of the things not to fall in on is as a to fall in on is, well, I don't know that many BIPOC folks. I don't know that many LGBTQ folks. Okay, I hear you. That's understandable that you don't know them, but you can still reach out to them. You can
Hmm.
still have a conversation if and just get that going. And then if seeing where that leads to, right? I've seen people where they're like, "Well, I'm choosing to do this because I've not gotten a lot of casting. I've put out casting calls. I've not gotten a lot of representation. So I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing." That's that's not that's that is a choice you are willing to make, and that's understandable. But it's showing that you're not willing to do the work to
Hmm.
diversify your table, to diversify your space, to make your space even welcoming for people like me, to be a part of it, because you're only willing to go as far as your comfort level is, and then after that, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to do anything more.
Yeah, I even if you reach out to people and they say that they're not available, you're still kind of breaking that barrier. It's like
Yeah,
I may not be available for this month or the next month because one person is busy. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be available 3 months down the road. Or if,
exactly.
and it's just one of those things where it's like I feel like you need to create that conversation with them
Yep.
if you really want to work with them. But it's also to the whole like I couldn't find anybody. I think it's very difficult for that to be acceptable, to be like accepted because, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, but there are every day dozens of people that are BIPOC that are looking for a table, that are looking to play with people. So it's like
Yep.
maybe you should check your follows.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But you'd be surprised that that is still an excuse that is used even today. It's less now because people are very quick to call them out on this. Like, what do you
Hmm.
mean that? What do you mean by this? Like what's really going on here? And
Yeah.
it can go from there. And then it's also how you react to it too. You can, if you are confronted with the fact that, oh, you you've you've decided to go on with this, and the community called you out on it. If you acknowledge the fact that that you shouldn't have done it, people will forgive you, as long as you're willing to put in the work. Now that's not to say
Hmm.
don't you know don't completely ignore everything I just said and just do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to go ahead and do that and suffer the consequences, that's on you. But what I'm saying is, if 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 you as a person are willing to own up to your mistakes, then that goes a long way within the space too. Right.
Hmm.
I will say that's probably the best way I could say it is like own up to your mistakes, account for it, and see what you can to do better. Because that's all anybody can ask for is for you to do better. We're
Yeah,
all trying to do better.
yeah. I mean, totally agree.
One more
Um,
thing to add to that
yeah,
too
definitely.
is don't be afraid to do like, and this is for this is more of a general safety thing for everybody in for anybody coming into the space is do your checks and due diligence on the people that you're interacting with,
Hmm.
right? Because in any community, really, there are bad actors that are out there. And it's good for especially new players to do their research and not just jump on with a channel that has like thousands of views, thousands of followers, because you might be walking in on something that may be way over your head that may make you feel uncomfortable and put you in a bad position and make the experience of being in the space a terrible one. And I think as long as people are willing to do a little bit of research, talk to other folks within the space to see kind of like their interactions with people, then you're setting yourself up not only just to be able to protect yourself and make sure you don't get into don't want to be in, but you're also making sure that you're protecting your brand too. So
Hmm.
that's a general one for everybody out there in the space is check. Don't be afraid to reach out to other folks and see how people are before you sit at a table with them because everybody may like you may run into somebody that is very happy, very joyful, all this, and be putting up a front, and then come to find out if you check up on and see and do yeah and you might come to find out that this person may not actually be who they presented themselves to be.
Hmm.
And we've I know I've what is it, I've jumped on a deal where I'm like I wish I didn't jump on a table. But you live and you learn, and I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this, if they want to jump into space, that they kind of keep that in mind. It's just
Hmm.
do your research on your folks and make sure you protect yourself at all times.
I do think one of the greatest features that any system has, any not system, wow, anything that social media has is the search icon,
Yeah.
where it's like when I was not really on Twitter anymore, not a fan of what's over
Mhm.
there, but they
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the feature where you could just click the search bar on top of somebody's name and you could type in keywords so you could see what they've said about that. Now, like what you
Yep.
said, there are a lot of people who could put up a front where they won't talk about stuff in public, where they won't type it out onto their thing, but always good to reach out because there is a lot of community in this community. So
Yep.
if you interact with someone, you want to make sure that you're not giving a voice to somebody who doesn't deserve it. And
Yeah.
we've all been on the internet. We know that there are like twitlongers or people coming out and talking about someone that people really like to the community, but turns out that behind closed doors are not a great person. And that really sucks, but we all need to communicate and kind of be open with people about our experiences and whatever the person is comfortable with, though. It's not trying to like tell people like, "Oh, tell me everything you know about this person," but it's like, are they a good person to be around?
Yeah. And what is it? People will be very quick to tell you, "Oh, this is a great person. This is, this person that's wanting to have you on their show. They're really cool. They're very friendly to be around with, have a conversation with. And if fuck up, excuse my language if cursing is not allowed here, but if
Oh
you
no,
mess
you're
up,
good.
if you if, if you're just a bad person, that will also be found out really quickly. People will tell their experiences and will make that known. So
Hmm.
um, don't think that you can get away with trying to put up a front because that will not last very long, especially because people want to make sure we're all having a good time and that we're all safe. Part
Mhm.
of that safety is making sure we're looking out for.
Agreed. So that was the last question, but just want to ask, where can people find you? What are you currently working on?
There's a lot of things. Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in for this one. I am GM Justin. You can find me at all my socials at Forever GM Justin. You can also find me over at Roll D5. That's ROLE_D5, where we specialize in playing indie TTRPGs. Over there, we are running games at least 4 games a month, and we have our different themes for each month. So if you follow us on our socials over there, follow me on my socials, I will push out what the theme of the month is. And then we also publish monthly casting calls too, for people to come in and play a game with us on our channel, and go from there. Like I said, I don't remember what next is, but it should be published here soon. If not, it's already out there available for you guys to take a look at and see what we got going on, what we have lined up for the month of July. But yeah, and then for me, I am, like I said, I'm all over the place. If I'm not over at Rebels Without a Cause every Wednesday, or not Rebels Without a Castle. I want to say Rebels Without a Cause. I don't know why it just rolls off the tongue. But Rebels Without a Castle every Wednesday, where I'm playing Dante, the paladin that has interesting short background. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about the nightmares that he's casted every so often. Yeah, no, I play him, and then every other Friday, you can catch me over at Smoking Blue at the award-winning Smoking Blue Guns channel, where I'm playing now Redwin, the elvish. Well, the character art you'll see will be that of a changeling, but right now, as he's presented himself, he is currently a wood elf fighter that is joined up with the group and has a very very interesting first full episode with the group. And then I have a couple other projects that are coming out here in the next couple months. Part of that is a couple of VTM games. I'm running a VTM one shot later on this year in October, and
Mm.
I am still working through a Call of Cthulhu miniseries that I had recorded earlier this year that I hope to publish sometime before the end of the year, because I had a really good group, and I want to showcase the amount of fun and the amazing storytelling that I was able to do with these folks. So be on the lookout for that. But keep up with my socials to see what I'm doing.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to post all the socials in the description so you can go down there. It'll be just one click away. But yeah, thanks again for joining me, GM Justin, and hopefully we get to talk again very soon.
I would much appreciate it. Thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure, and so much.
Before I go, I want to once again thank GM Justin for joining me on today's episode of Level 1 to Now. Make sure to follow them on their socials, links are provided below. Keep an eye out for the next episode of Level 1 to Now, as I'll be having a conversation with Revealing Too Much. Please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss that next video. Thank you for watching, keep that glass half full, and have a great next game. Bye.